welcome to my couch. This is where I dole out all of my wonderful mother life advice. I tell you exactly what I would tell my own children, and I don't sugarcoat it because I don't know if we've met before, but I have a tendency to tell things exactly how they are or how I think they are. I like you to know what's on my mind. So we're gonna talk about college today because clearly this is something that is very relevant in my life right now. Chloe just started college. She took a semester off and she started her spring semester at Pepperdine University in Malibu. Weird, but I'm a college mom now. And I asked recently on all of my stories what questions you guys had, and a lot of you were kind of popping up with college questions. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me to impart my wisdom on the world and tell you everything that I would tell Chloe as she starts her college experience or finishes her college experience as some of your questions. All right, where shall we begin? Ex-Fatamax, I'm gonna butcher these names, asked me what to do about anxiety about finals. Well, first of all, you should be studying all semester for finals because finals really are just a compilation of everything that you've learned through the year. I get that people have test-taking anxiety, so there are situational things that you can do to kind of help relax your anxiety. The rule of threes, which I try to practice and I teach my girls all the time, where you focus on 3 things that you hear in a room, you focus on looking at 3 different things in a room, and then you relax 3 different parts of your body. Usually by the time you get to the relaxing 3 different parts of your body, your anxiety has subsided and you can focus. But before any of that, if you are studying throughout the semester and putting in the work, finals shouldn't be that stressful. So the best way to combat anxiety for finals is to study throughout the semester. I promise you, I pulled many an all-nighter in school and I never, ever, ever did well on those finals. So learn from my mistakes. That is not the way to go. Prepare. An all-nighter sucks and your brain is fuzzy. So it just doesn't work. Don't go that route. Emma14200055, how did you cope from going from secondary school to college? The biggest thing, and I think this answers another question that I'll mention in a moment, in all of my years of experience, and I'm slightly older than most of you, I would suspect, because I am the grandmother of YouTube, no one looks back at high school and says like, oh my God, I loved high school so much. I mean, there's a few, but we know who they are, and truly high school was their like pinnacle of life. And most people look back at high school and they're like, ugh, I made it through. College, on the other hand, everyone's like, oh my God, that was the greatest time. I figured out who I was. I made my lifelong friends. So the biggest advice I have for you is to kind of start over. Decide what you want out of college and let everything from high school go. Okay, Natasha Potgieter, sorry. I'm starting college this year. I've never been good at making friends or socializing. Any advice? Okay, so this goes back to, you have a chance to kind of start over in college, but when you get there, you have an opportunity because everybody is feeling uncomfortable, everybody is nervous, everybody is like new, so take advantage of just all being on a level playing field and talk to people. Like, leave your freshman dorm room door open so that as people are going up and down the hall, they stop by, they say hello. As somebody's walking by, you can be like, oh my God, I love your t-shirt. Not that you would ever like scream something so lame out the door, but you know what I mean. Or if you're like, oh, I need to borrow a calculator. Okay, wait. That just totally dated myself. Nobody uses a calculator. We all have phones. I don't know. It's an opportunity for you to just chat with people on your floor. You are going to make friends, I promise you. You're also gonna find people you don't like, but guess what? That's the way life is. You're always gonna have people you don't like, and you're always gonna have people that you connect with. So leave your dorm room door open. Also, go out of your way to talk to people. If you're shy, I have a tendency sometimes to not talk to people at first just because like, well, I don't know if you know this, but I was on a TV show and a lot of people like have these preconceived notions that I'm a bitch. I'm only a bitch on television. I only play one on TV, I swear. But sometimes I'm like so worried about what everyone else is thinking, I kind of like shut down, and I have serious RBF, so everyone just assumes that I'm a bitch. But the minute I like talk to somebody or go out of my way, I promise you everyone's like, oh, she's not that bad. So it's the same in college. If you are quiet and you're you tend to have like that face, you know the face. Say hello to someone, start a conversation. You will be so happy you did it. And I talk with my hands a lot. Oh, okay. So Caitlin Team says, I have to study abroad next year and I'm incredibly anxious. Any tips? Yes. Okay. I think this is amazing. First of all, studying abroad is quite an amazing opportunity, so take advantage of it. Now, to help ease anxiety, what I would tell Chloe, if this were her, I would tell her, number one, or this is what I would do for myself. I would find out as much as I could about the place I was going. So let's say, for instance, I'm studying abroad in London. I would Google everything that there ever was to know about London. Like, you know, what are the must-sees? Like, what are the good day trips? Like, what's the culture like? I would learn all of those things. Secondly, I would talk to people who have had that experience before. If it's a study abroad program at your school, chances are someone else there has done it, so I would talk to them. And then I would make a list. I would completely make a list of everything that I wanted to do or experience while I was there. Because I find that, at least for me, I often will get distracted by everything that's happening in the moment or the lure of a good time. Like, Christy's a good time girl, so, and I just talked about myself in third person. But like, if there was a party to be had, I would have been like, oh sure, I'll go to that party. And then like my whole weekend revolves around that party, when in fact, I really wanted to take the train to Paris and like explore Paris. Okay, what else can we talk about? Oh, drinking in college. All right, if you are going to drink, here are the two things that you must always remember to do. Number one, never, ever, ever get behind the wheel of a car. Ever. Not just for your own safety, but you could take the life of someone else. Like, do not drink and drive. There are Ubers available today. There's no excuse for getting behind the wheel of a car. Number two, if you go out and you are drinking, do not ever leave that party or bar alone and walk home by yourself. I did it so many times in college, and I think back to the choices I made. And now that I am much more worldly and old and I've had life experience, I can honestly tell you it was probably the dumbest thing I could have ever done, ever. Like, it would have been so easy for me to get abducted, murdered, raped. I could have been hit by a car. I could have died from hypothermia because God knows I was wearing tank tops walking around Erie, Pennsylvania in the middle of January. It was stupid. Please don't make those same mistakes. If you go to a party with someone, you leave with someone. The buddy system could save your life. And I know that sounds dramatic, but have you listened to all of those murder podcasts? Because I have. And I have a child in college, and that is the one thing I want to always know, is there is safety in numbers. That is my mom lecture for this video. Oh, that was a lot. Sororities. Okay, this is super fun because I was clearly a sorority girl back in the 90s. This is before the land of the internet. So, and I went to a school that Greek life was super important. Most of the campus was involved in Greek life. Totally different in colleges now. Some campuses, Greek life is a big thing. Other campuses, very small. So from my experience, I really enjoyed being in a sorority. I loved it. I thought it was super fun. I made some friends that I am still friends with today that live in my community. But I don't know if I were in college right now, if I would rush a sorority, because the internet has opened up so many doors for us that you can build these amazing online communities. And I don't know if you necessarily need to pay and be part of a sorority on campus when you have access to so many people, if that makes sense. But let's just, for the sake of this video, say that you are interested in being or pledging a sorority. So you go through Rush, and what happens is you list your top sororities that you think that you would like to belong to, and then the sororities are listing the girls that they would like to offer bids to. And then, at least at our campus, it went through Greek Life or our Panhellenic, and then they would match up like the top of all the lists, and it kind of like, it was a very intense structure. I was Panhellenic president at one point, so yes, I was involved. But we would match people up, and then you would receive a bid from the sorority that you matched highest with that wanted you, and if you wanted to accept the bid, you accepted it, and if you didn't, you didn't. And if you didn't accept the bid, I think you had to wait another whole semester to pledge. I would tell you, as you're going through Rush, really be honest with yourself. Like, where are you most comfortable? Like, where do you fit in? Where do you feel like you would have the best experience? And the other piece of advice I would give you is don't pledge your first year on campus, or I'm sorry, your first semester on campus. If you start in the fall, I wouldn't pledge until the spring. If you start in the spring, I wouldn't recommend pledging until the fall, because you want to, first of all, give yourself time to like get acclimated to college life, because pledging is a ton. And second of all, I really enjoyed that I waited a semester, because I got to figure out what I thought of each different sorority on campus throughout like an entire semester. I didn't just walk on and like the first weekend or the first people I met, I wasn't like, oh, this is where I want to go. I had a chance to like get to know people and kind of see like really and truly who they were on campus before I made that decision. Audrey Rayneck says, how do you deal with sorority rejection? I mean, rejection sucks no matter what. Like, you're never going to be like, oh my God, they reject me, yay. You're always going to feel badly about that. But I assure you, like most things in life, if they rejected you, you don't want to be part of them anyway. And you would have never really, truly enjoyed your experience. So I would just kind of write it off as a blessing in disguise and be like, you know what? It wasn't the right place for me. And if you are determined that that's the place you want to go to or the house you want to belong, wait a semester and go back. Make friends with the girls outside of Rush so that as you're going through that process again, they can be like, oh my God, I met Christi like at the library. Christi may or may never have been at the library, but you know, I got good grades. I just didn't go to the library. But, or wherever, you met someone and then they can be like, she was really great. I think she's nervous during Rush or whatever. So make friends outside of Rush. Don't depend on Rush to be your only source of like getting to know someone. What advice did you give Chloe as she left for college? Asking for myself. And that is from Kristen Gould. Okay, Kristen, I am going to tell you the same thing. Not only did I tell Chloe, but I told Brooke, I told Brittany Pent, I told my niece. This is the same piece of advice or pieces of advice that I gave to everyone in my life that leaves for school. First of all, go to school and figure out who you are. And that sounds like so general and basic, but what I mean is give yourself the opportunity to like try new things, explore new things. Never, ever, ever again in your life are you gonna have so much freedom to try different things on. Like once you get past college and you're kind of in the work world, like, you know, we'll get into this in a different video, like you just don't have as much freedom. So figure out who you are. And the wonderful thing about school is it's the first time that you really get an opportunity to kind of be an adult, but with a safety net. Because you're an adult, so to speak. But like, I will argue that 18-year-olds really aren't adults because they're so close to just still being a kid. And you're a teenager and your frontal lobe's not developed and all of those things, and you make really dumb choices, which was a totally different video. But you are sort of an adult in a safe environment. Like you're in school, you're on campus, there's all these other people that are in the same situation as you. It's a community, and you still have the safety net of your parents because you're still a kid and you can always go home. Don't make really dumb choices and like ruin your life, and there's a few. I always tell everyone, look at rushing a sorority or a fraternity. Just look at it. It doesn't have to be for you, but don't go on campus with this idea that you're like, oh, that's not for me, before you give it a chance, because you don't know, it could be the greatest thing that ever happens to you. If it's not for you, who cares? It's no big deal. There's 1,000 other things that you can do at school. But that's probably the one thing in college life that is clearly different than any experience that you can have in high school, because organizations like that just don't exist, and they don't really exist after college. So it's the only time in your life that is going to be an option. The third thing I always tell them, or I tell everyone, is don't start school with a serious boyfriend or girlfriend. And I mean that. Like, I mean that so much, and I did. And he broke up with me maybe a month after school started, and I was devastated. And it affected my grades, and it affected like how I behaved those first couple months on campus. And it's just, the chances are that that person is your person for the rest of your life are so small, and it's just not worth limiting yourself in all of the experiences that you can have on campus, dating other people, kiss a bunch of people, whatever. But by going there and being so focused on another person, you're really limiting yourself. And I just don't think that that's smart. If that person ends up being the person you're supposed to be with for the rest of your life, they'll come back after school, I promise. Number 4 is just steal something from everyone you meet. And I don't mean like literally steal something. I mean like take a little piece of something away from them. Like if it's an experience, if it's advice, if it's, I don't know, an opinion. It's the most probably open-minded you'll ever be. Audrey Rainek said, I think I made the wrong choice of college. Do I transfer and leave, or do I stick it out? I kind of have both answers. I think that if it's your first semester, you need to stick it out, because so often kids go to school and you're really just, it's this homesickness and just getting adjusted to a new way of life that makes people think like, I'm really unhappy. Give yourself that semester to kind of like get through those growing pains. And then second semester, chances are things are gonna get better and you're gonna really start to enjoy your experience. If you go home that first summer and you still just aren't feeling it, there is absolutely no shame or really no recourse in looking at switching schools. Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And there is very few things in life that you can't change your decision from. So if the school isn't working out and you're seriously that unhappy, go somewhere that you're going to be happy. But again, give it at least a year, because so many times kids just need a minute, so many times people just need a minute to like really just figure it out and get used to things and, you know, like get comfortable. All right, Michelle Jenna, 95, said, advice on how to live on your own and transitioning from graduating college to real life. Okay, here is the biggest takeaway I want you to have from this. Leaving school it's like a wake-up call. It really is, because for 4 years, you're like living in this bubble in this community and everybody's on the same page and you have summers off, and yes, I know you have internships, but it's still like a very insular community. And then all of a sudden reality smacks you in the face and you're like, oh my God, I have to work for the next billion years with no summer breaks and paying my own bills and it's a lot. So the biggest thing I'm going to tell you is to make friends in your new life. The thing I missed the most about school was that sense of belonging and having like great girlfriends and just people I could rely and trust on. And all of a sudden I'm like working in an office building, which we can talk about in another video. We'll go through all of Christi's really poor job choices that I had out of school. But I'm like working in an office building with like 60-year-old men because I was a stockbroker. Can you stand it? And I really miss that sense of like belonging with girls. Find people that you connect with that are your like in your same place of life, not necessarily same age, but in that same place as you in life, and start to build your community that way. Don't rely on a significant other to be your only source of like socialization, because I so often see people getting engaged and getting married to people they truly aren't meant to be with just because it's comfortable. And then in 10, 15 years, they're getting divorced and they have kids and then houses and all of this big mess because they were afraid to break up with someone just because it was comfortable after college. So don't do that to yourselves, truly. Okay, I'm going to step down off of my soapbox now and go get a drink of water. And I will see you guys next week. Drop a comment below if you like videos like this, because I have so much wisdom that I can give you. And let me know what subjects you would like me to talk about next. So I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.